In Five Nights at Freddy's 3, we were all introduced to Springtrap. We had no idea who Springtrap was up until the end of the game. This is where we found out that Springtrap was the purple guy, or how everyone else knows him as William Afton. Fast forward a few years when the Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator came out. Here we were introduced to another version of Springtrap, and that would be Scraptrap. Many people began to believe that Scraptrap was in fact not William Afton, but in fact the person we played as in every single FNAF game prior to 6, excluding possibly 4, being Michael Afton. Now the person who believed this theory would go on to say that Michael was killed at the end of Sister Location. That is true. However, we can also see Michael be controlled by Ennard for a good portion of the time after he got scooped. However, Michael's body began to decay after Ennard was inside of him too long. And then Ennard decided to eject himself because Michael was no longer fit to be living inside of. But a few seconds later, Michael gets up from the dead and walks away. Now, we know that Scraptrap is not Michael Afton due to Michael Afton walking away after the events of Sister Location. Another huge pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. Here it is now.
Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend.
Now, it would make no sense for Henry to be saying this about Michael. I mean, Michael didn't do anything wrong. It would only make sense for it to be William, because William was the main killer who started everything. And William is the one who killed Henry's daughter, so it would make sense for Henry to want William to go to hell. Back in 2014, when we all learned the name of the purple guy and what he did, people began speculating about the first and second game. But there was one particular theory that went out above all the rest at the time. There was a Reddit user whose name I will not reveal, said, "I'm pretty sure that the first game was just the purple guy's nightmares about what he did." Now, this could have been a decent theory back in the day, but tell me this. If the purple guy felt bad about his crimes, then why would he repeat them? What he did back then and then do it again? It wouldn't make sense, right? Another way to prove my point is that in FNAF 2, FNAF 2 is a prequel of FNAF 1, which means Five Nights at Freddy's 2 happened first. So, if William truly felt bad about his killings, wouldn't it have made sense for him to have these nightmares in the second game and not the first? Nightmares about his creations coming after him next. Now, this theory is honestly not a bad one at all. Truthfully, finding year-old theories is sort of hard when you have an entire series going. Anyways, here is how I'm gonna debunk this theory. At the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 4, we can see Evan Afton on the floor next to all of the animatronics. After speaking with the core 4, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, he then speaks to Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy is supposed to be William Afton talking through the bear, since he says the famous line, "I will put you back together." And also not to mention, when we are playing in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, we are obviously a small child. I mean, look at the bedroom as well as the eye to floor distance. It's not too far apart, meaning we are very small. Unless William Afton was a midget, I think it's safe to say that we play as Evan Afton. Or, we could also possibly play as Michael Afton, since after putting his brother into Freddy's mouth, resulting in his death, he has nightmares about it, for his sins, that the animatronics would come for him next. There is also more evidence pointing to this in one of the many books that the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's has made. This book was called the Survival Logbook. We can see that Michael Afton drew a picture of Nightmare Fredbear. Now, if we played as Evan, how would Michael know about Nightmare Fredbear? It's not like Evan could have told him. He was in a coma. I'm not so sure about this one. Let me know your opinions down in the comments. This theory surfaced the internet a while ago. This is where people were led to believe that at the end of the Game Over screen in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, we can see the man we play as, or the man we know as at the time, Mike Schmidt. Now this is why he is called Mike Trap, because, well, his name is Mike. Little did the people who believed this theory knew the Game Over screen in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is not canon. Since we know that Five Nights at Freddy's 1 did not happen first in the timeline of the games, and we know Five Nights at Freddy's 6 was the end of almost all of the animatronics, that would mean the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 game over screen is not canon. But there were many people who believed it was canon, and when Five Nights at Freddy's 3 came out in 2015, there were many people who were confused because they didn't ever see Mike Trap. Well, people, you probably didn't see it because the killing in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is not canon. It's not the canon ending of the game. There's actually two segments of Mike Trap theory, one being that the game over screen in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is canon, and that animatronics will appear in later games, as well as Michael Afton being the one inside of Springtrap. That would never work, since we could literally see the purple guy being spring-locked on Night 5 in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. There is actually zero evidence, now that I think about it, of Michael being Springtrap, since we have all of our reasoning in the books, games, and even the damn movie. Hopefully I just put this theory to rest. When people have hallucinations of something specific, it would be because they have had some previous trauma with whatever it is.